What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2004 Pontiac Aztek. Up front is a 3.4-liter V6, and down below is a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Pontiac Aztek for one main reason. This car is on my Mount Rushmore of strange cars to review. This car is so iconic, it's so interesting, it's so quirky and different that I feel I am not a successful automotive reviewer if I haven't driven one. And so today, I can finally check the Pontiac Aztek off my list while showing you guys how interesting this vehicle is. But if you would like to share your interesting vehicle with me, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 3.4-liter V6 under the hood. Well, this paired with the 4-speed auto was the only drivetrain offered here in the Pontiac Aztek. It makes 185 horsepower, which isn't anything crazy, and it's known as the LA1 V6, which they used in quite a few other vehicles from GM, so it's a relatively well-documented, well-thought-out engine. It's not like a strange one-off engine that we saw in the Aztek and then never again. So you can have a little bit of comfort knowing that. Like I said, paired to it, 4-speed automatic. It's doing the job, as I expect any automatic transmission to do. Last but not least, this particular Aztek is front-wheel drive. However, you could find Azteks in all-wheel drive. That was really the only choice you got when it came to drivetrains here in the Aztek, so you could find these in all-wheel drive if that's something that you really want. So how does it feel to actually drive a Pontiac Aztek? It drives like pretty much any other GM from the era. Think of the GMC Envoy, the Chevy Trailblazer, vehicles of that nature. Now, this is a front-wheel drive bias platform as opposed to the rear-wheel drive platforms like the Trailblazer, but you get what I mean. Visibility out the front is pretty good. Visibility out the back is okay. You do get a split rear window tailgate, which is fine, but you do have pretty big blind spots, which is just something to take note of. The ride is decent. It's not nearly as harsh as a GMC Envoy, which is nice to see, especially since these are from the same era. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, in the center is my speedometer, and off to the right is my fuel and coolant temperature. Dash was actually designed by Johnson Controls, which is a company known for making HVAC, fire, and security equipment for buildings. They did the dashboard. Kind of interesting. On the steering wheel, I actually don't get any forward-facing buttons. Off to the left, I do have a climate control vent, my headlight switches, and my interior light switches. And moving on to the door, I have my power mirrors up top, kind of an interesting position there. Window locks, power windows, and door locks down below, and you get this big aggressive grab handle if that's something you want to utilize. Moving into the center, we do have 2 climate control vents, and we have the radio. This radio is pretty run-of-the-mill for any GM product of this era. Big, chunky, bubbly buttons that are chipping. Definitely seen this before in many, many cars. But then we do have the climate controls down below. So we do have fan speed off to the left, temperature in the center, where to send it off to the right. And down below, we have a rear tailgate release, a dead switch, and a 12-volt outlet, along with a little cubby. Moving to the center console, off to the left, we'll find the shifter. This feels like every other GM shifter, although it does look a little bit different. But off to the right, we do have 2 cup holders, and so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Pontiac Aztek. And sticking on brand with its quirkiness, when you remove the cup holder liners, it does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. I love it. But then moving on to the center console itself, it is openable and you can remove the tray, which is nice, but it has a somewhat hidden feature that you might not recognize immediately. Pull the handle over, you can actually completely remove the center console, and it is a cooler. So you could take it to the beach, you could take it on a hike, you could take it camping. This is a literal cooler for drinks or foods built into the center console that is removable. That is something that has stuck around from the concept of the Aztek, and I absolutely love that they did that. such a unique feature of this vehicle. Then we gotta talk about the seats. The seats are cloth and they are comfortable. They're actually very comfortable, and I didn't expect that in such not only an SUV like this, but a more active SUV. When I think of plush, cushy seats, I don't often think of a Jeep Wrangler or Ford Bronco. Not to say that this vehicle's on that level, but it is sort of in that ruggedness category, and yet I still get very comfortable seats. I'm very, very happy to see that here in the 2004 Pontiac Aztek. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2004 Pontiac Aztek, and I'll be honest, not as much legroom as I really thought. I'm 5'11", not a small guy to be fair, but my knees do hit the seat in front of me if I move them up. I do get little like grocery bag or, suit hooks back here. And as you'll see, the owner has left a lot of Breaking Bad memorabilia here in the back, which is super cool to see. I also do get 2 climate control vents down here. Love seeing that. A lot of cars sort of forget about the second row. And the same seat material carries on, the grab handles in the doors, things like that. Really, really cool. However, the really cool part of the rear half of the Aztek is around the very back. So let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Pontiac Aztek, and hit it once. And this does take a little bit of muscle to get up, but you open up the rear glass first. If it'll stay up, will it stay up? The struts are a little old. It's weaning. And then you can come in here, fold this down, so you get a tailgate and the glass up there. Then pull this down, you can pull this out, and this, I know it's in a diaper box, but this is actually a air mattress that is for the Pontiac Aztek. But you have these storage cubbies, which is really, really cool. So open this up. That is actually a tent that will attach to the back of the vehicle, seen here, which is super, super cool. This is another accessory bag, and then we can come over here, and this opens up like this. We have some extra storage and things like that. So super, super cool. Push this down, and it's on rolling wheels, which is kind of interesting. We do have more storage compartments over here, 12-volt outlet, of course, for airing up that air mattress we just talked about. More storage to the right, and if you were to get a higher trim level, there actually would be an air compressor back here, but unfortunately, this is just the base, so you did have to plug in an air compressor like a regular peasant. But that is all of the sweet rear space in a Pontiac Aztek. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love the look of the Pontiac Aztek. It is the most polarizing part of this vehicle, bar none. People say they love it, people say they hate it. No matter who you are, if you have red blood in your veins, you have an opinion on the Pontiac Aztek's physical features. And I'll let you discuss that down in the comment section down below. I really, truly would love to know what your opinion is, but mine is that it's so cool, probably because it's so ugly. I do want to say, it is an ugly automobile, but ugly cars are my favorite. Those are what I love reviewing the most because they're sort of the unloved, the unwanted vehicles of our past. I like to think of my channel as an island of misfit toys, and the Pontiac Aztek might be the king of them all. However, one thing I do want to note about the exterior of the Pontiac Aztek is that the gas cap is out in the open, and the owner has actually put on a locking gas cap as an aftermarket piece. Normal Azteks do not have a locking gas cap, so you can walk up to any Aztek that hasn't been modified and just open up the gas tank. This seems like a little bit of an oversight, especially because in the 70s and 80s there was such an emphasis on locking your gas caps. And then Pontiac was like, yeah, that was in the past, that was yesterday, today's today. And so they don't care, I guess. Let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving the Pontiac Aztek from 2004? Well, first of all, this is a huge bucket list, exciting moment for me. I'm out in Ohio right now, and the sole reason I drove to this dreaded state was to drive this awesome car. I love it. I love it so much. And much like the GMC Envoy XUV that I drove earlier this year, what I love most about this car is how forward-thinking and how exciting it is. When Pontiac designed and sold this vehicle, they had very, very high hopes for it. Because this car has more automotive accessories than I've ever seen in any car. It has bags in the doors so you can take your gear with you when you go on a hike or camping. Like I said, that center console turns into a cooler you can bring with you. You could get an Aztek backpack that would buckle into the back of the seats. As we mentioned with the trunk and cargo space, you could have a tent that would pop out. There was an inflatable Aztek mattress for your camping trips. And some people might say this was Pontiac trying to make a buck here, make a buck there, make a buck everywhere. And yeah, that is a strong possibility. That might have been what they wanted to do, but what it ended up feeling like was that they wanted this car to go on adventures. They wanted you to experience the world through the lens of the Pontiac Aztek. They wanted to give you as much get up and go gear as they physically could. They wanted to stress that as much as they could. And so it feels like there was a lot of care put into this vehicle, and yet it completely flopped. When Pontiac set out to sell this vehicle, they wanted to sell 30,000 a year. Not that hard of an ask in terms of a big company like Pontiac. The first year they sold 27,000, and it dwindled from there. They actually never hit their goal of 30,000 vehicles in 1 year. And so the Aztek is considered an automotive flop. And that's a shame, because this car was so excited to go on trips. This car was so excited to take you camping and take you to the beach and take you up into the mountains. And so it only lasted a couple model years, and it was discontinued after 2005, having never really sold anywhere near its goal. And what it really feels like is that nice, sweet kid that you grew up with that everyone kind of took advantage of. And as you got older, they stopped texting you as randomly. They stopped dropping off cookies when they made a few too many. And this car got left out in the cold, and it didn't deserve that. If only the buyers of that era were as excited as the Aztek was, this car would have been such a big success. And I think it's really interesting seeing the more modern influx of outdoorsiness. Honda told me that the need for outdoor-ready vehicles has risen in the last 3 years. People want the Trail Sport editions. People want the Wilderness editions. They want adventure-ready vehicles. And yet the Aztek was adventure-ready 23 years ago. This particular one, 19 years ago. I like this thing. And I actually like this thing a lot more than I thought I was going to, and that's saying something. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Corey for letting me take out his Pontiac Aztek. This is such a cool vehicle. Corey's been absolutely awesome to work with. He bought this because of his love for the show Breaking Bad, as I'm sure that has come through in many of the shots here in the video. Corey's been fantastic, such an awesome person. So a huge shout out to him and his wife for making this video possible. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.